Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Imagine, just for a second, a world where the crises of the 5th century never actually happened. A timeline where the Roman Empire didn't fracture, didn't fall to invading armies, and instead survived entirely intact right into the year 2026. We aren't talking about a reboot or a revival here. We're mapping out 2,000 years of unbroken, continuous state building under a single banner.
Ask yourself this absolutely fascinating question. Because if this happened, the geopolitical landscape as we know it would be completely wiped from existence. The global superpower wouldn't be the United States. In fact, things like the UN or NATO simply wouldn't exist. Instead, we'd be looking at a 2,000-year-old transcontinental megastate holding unquestioned dominance over the Earth.
Let's move to our first section, the modern Roman world, and see how this builds a completely unrecognizable reality stretching all the way from the sands of Mesopotamia right to the borders of Scotland.
Now, this brilliantly illustrates how Latin wouldn't just be some dead language studied in dusty classrooms. It would be the beating heart of modern civilization. Picture this, the foundational internet code powering the globe, the high-stakes international business deals, and the aerospace engineering for orbital space stations, all of it written, spoken, and executed in flawless modern Latin. It's the undisputed global lingua franca.
Moving on to Section 2. Engineering a futuristic empire. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is how 2 millennia of uninterrupted scientific progression creates an absolute architectural wonderland.
Without the Dark Ages slowing them down, humanity would have industrialized centuries earlier. We're talking sprawling megacities. Imagine standing in London or Constantinople and watching towering glass and steel skyscrapers integrated directly over ancient, multi-tiered stone aqueducts that still actively pump fresh water. Pretty wild, right?
So, the crucial point here is the evolution. The ancient world hasn't been replaced, it's been utterly upgraded. Those iconic stone roads, they've become frictionless automated hyperloops. The old paper laws nailed to forum walls are transformed into instantaneous AI verdicts. The traditions don't disappear, they just evolve. Honestly, imagine visiting the Colosseum today, not as a crumbling tourist attraction, but taking your seat in a massive, climate-controlled stadium. You're watching hyper-advanced, cybernetic gladiators battle it out in real time, and it's being broadcast live to billions of citizens via a dedicated Roman global satellite network. The spectacle's the same, the tech just caught up.
That brings us to Section 3, Politics and Allegiance. To govern this massive transcontinental population, the absolute rule of a single emperor would have likely had to evolve into some form of a constitutional monarchy or a technocratic republic.
Geopolitically, the map would be completely dictated by a modernized Senate representing provinces everywhere. Forget independent countries like France or Germany. They're just highly integrated provinces now. And looking west, a Roman discovery of the Americas would have happened centuries earlier, establishing a colony known as Nova Roma. All of these massive territories would trade using one single currency, the modern denarius, managed by a central bank right in Rome.
You would fiercely guard your Roman citizenship in this timeline. It functions as the ultimate global passport, granting you access to advanced imperial healthcare and automated legal protection. But maybe most fascinatingly, it would likely guarantee a universal basic income. The wealth generated by state-owned, globally automated infrastructure would be redistributed just enough to keep the massive population fed and deeply loyal.
Now, don't get it twisted, it's not a utopia. Society here remains deeply utilitarian. The bureaucracy is staggering. Imagine stepping into a courtroom and facing a judge that isn't human, but an AI trained on thousands of years of digitized Roman law codes and ancient precedents. There's no impassioned jury, the legal verdict is instant, and it's absolute.
Let's redefine a familiar term for 2026, the Pax Romana. In this world, the Roman peace isn't just an era in a history book. It is an active, aggressive military doctrine enforcing order across half the globe, not through diplomacy, but through absolute, unquestionable technological superiority.
And the modern legions? They'd get a formidable 21st century upgrade. They would trade their heavy iron armor and wooden shields for powered exoskeletons and highly advanced drone swarms. They don't just patrol ground borders anymore. They enforce the peace from orbital defense platforms floating silently in space.
But managing a transcontinental population of billions isn't without its severe internal strains, which brings us to our fourth and final section, cracks in the Eternal City.
A massive, undeniable divide would inevitably form. You've got the traditional, wealthy elites sitting centrally in the palaces of Rome, and then the workers operating the highly advanced outer tech provinces. The people doing the heavy lifting to keep the empire running would constantly be pushing back against that intense centralization of power.
So any resulting social unrest would be heavily monitored. Those ancient Roman spies who used to listen for treason in local taverns, they transform into an omnipresent, digitized intelligence apparatus. It's a full-blown surveillance state, quietly tracking the loyalty, spending, and movements of every single citizen 24/7.
Furthermore, the empire's heavy reliance on automation would create a massive class of displaced, unemployed citizens. To prevent riots, the ancient concept of bread and circuses gets a high-tech update. The state mandates highly addictive, algorithmically generated digital entertainment to keep the masses docile, distracted, and content with their place in the social order.
As Rome celebrates another millennium as a terrifyingly beautiful monument to human ambition, this explainer leaves us with one final, urgent question. Can an immortal empire truly survive its own sheer scale, its massive displaced workforce, and its crushing surveillance?
It perfectly summarizes the sheer resilience of this alternate reality, proving that while leaders may come and go, the ruthless, automated system of Rome is designed to last forever. It offers total global peace and unprecedented technological wonders, but at the absolute cost of individual freedom. So, you have to ask yourself, is the safety of the Eternal Eagle actually worth living inside the cage?